You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a magister who makes noise, and then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
Well, we don't have slaves in the south.
In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
At least they're free. They don't have slavery forced on them.
You think people choose to be poor and oppressed? I doubt it. I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
Some points made on both sides there. Although, while they're talking about poverty versus slavery, which is more preferable, the obvious answer is neither.
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
Strange? Why are you less qualified to rule than some tart with a fancy crown? Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
What is the Magisterium, exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
If you're not a Magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later, lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium.
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers.
They don't use lyrium.
Ha! As if there'd be any left for them. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce their magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
In that case, it sounds like the Templars in the south are much more powerful than the ones in the Imperium.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So, the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I disagree. I don't think the Chantry's irrelevant.
Not to most, no. Perhaps just to me.
I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong.
You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
I'm not sure about that myself.
Doubt is good. I like doubt. It will keep you sane. Me? I've seen too much to believe I know everything.
The world is bigger than I. Even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
Have you gone to see Alexius yet? He's in the cells.
Not yet, no. I saw him before they locked him up. He looked despondent, broken. Not the man I remember, nor the one I want to. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's any chance they'll show him mercy. He hardly deserves it, but for Felix's sake. I can't help hoping there's something left of the man I once knew.
I believe that actually will come up a little bit later. Anything new to say, Solus?
So we have gained the mages. Excellent. They should be able to seal the breach. You are certain you experienced time travel? Could it have been an illusion? A trick of the Fade?
Dorian was sure. Impossible as it seems.
What an amazing gift. It is vital the Inquisition succeed to avoid the future you witnessed.
I'm surprised you're not more interested in your own future.
I know enough. If that future happened, then I, and Cassandra, Cullen and the rest, failed to stop this Elder One. Speaking of which, you should ready yourself.
For?
This Elder One. You have now interfered with his plans twice. Once at the Temple of Sacred Ashes, and now again at Redcliffe. A being who aspires to godhood is unlikely to ignore such an affront.
Dun dun dun.
As I explored the Fade, I felt the presence of an intriguing artifact in the hinterlands. If you are willing, I would like to locate it. I have marked its location as best I could determine.
Ah, another quest to find something, this time for Solus.
I'd like to know more about you, Solus.
Why?
You're an apostate, yet you risked your freedom to help the Inquisition.
Not the wisest course of action when framed that way.
I appreciate the work you're doing, Solus. I just wanted to know more about you.
I'm sorry. With so much fear in the air. What would you know of me?
I don't think I've asked some of these.
Have you always traveled and studied alone?
Not at all. I have built many lasting friendships. Spirits of wisdom, possessed of ancient knowledge, happy to share what they had seen. Spirits of purpose helped me search. Even wisps, curious and playful, would point out treasures I might have missed.
I don't know of any spirits by those names.
They rarely seek this world. When they do, their natures do not often survive exposure to the people they encounter. Wisdom and purpose are too easily twisted to pride and desire.
You're saying that you became friends with Pride and Desire demons?
They were not demons for me.
Meaning?
The Fade reflects the minds of the living. If you expect a spirit of wisdom to be a pride demon, it will adapt. And if your mind is free of corrupting influences, if you understand the nature of the spirit, they can be fast friends.
I'm impressed that you could become friends with spirits.
Anyone who can dream has the potential. Few ever try. My friends comforted me in grief and shared my joy. Yet, because they exist without form, as we understand it, the Chantry declares that spirits are not truly people. Is Cassandra defined by her cheekbones and not her faith? Varric by his chest hair and not his wit?
Spirits are bound by their nature. You said it yourself. They're shaped by contact with real people.
Just as Liliana was shaped by contact with divine Justinian. As those who serve the Inquisition are shaped by you. If I change your mind in this conversation, does that mean you're no more real than a spirit?
You've thought about this.
On occasion, yes.
Oh, suddenly Aurora got a little heated in that exchange there.
You said you'd traveled to many different places.
This world, or its memory, is reflected in the Fade. Dream in ancient ruins, and you may see a city lost to history. Some of my fondest memories were found in crumbling cities, long picked dry by treasure seekers, the best of the battlefields. Spirits press so tightly on the veil that you can slip across with but a thought.
Any place in particular?
I dreamt at Ostagar. I witnessed the brutality of the Darkspawn and the valor of the Ferelden warriors. I saw Alistair and the hero Ferelden light the signal fire, and Logain's infamous betrayal of Kaelin's forces.
I've heard the stories. It would be interesting to hear what it was really like.
That's just it. In the Fade, I see reflections created by spirits who react to the emotions of the warriors. One moment, I see heroic wardens lighting the fire and a power-mad villain sneering as he lets King Kaelin fall. The next, I see an army overwhelmed and a veteran commander refusing to let more soldiers die in a lost cause.
And you can't tell which is real.
It is the Fade. They are all real.
What made you start studying the Fade?
I grew up in a village to the north. There was little to interest a young man, especially one gifted with magic. But as I slept, spirits of the Fade showed me glimpses of wonders I had never imagined. I treasured my dreams. Being awake, out of the Fade, became troublesome.
Did spirits try to tempt you?
No more than a brightly colored fruit is deliberately tempting you to eat it. I learned how to defend myself from more aggressive spirits, and how to interact safely with the rest. I learned how to control my dreams with full consciousness. There was so much I wanted to explore.
I gather you didn't spend your entire life dreaming.
No. Eventually, I was unable to find new areas in the Fade.
Why?
2 reasons. First, the Fade reflects the world around it. Unless I traveled, I would never find anything new. Second, the Fade reflects and is limited by our imaginations. To find interesting areas, one must be interesting.
Is this why you joined the Inquisition?
I joined the Inquisition because we were all in terrible danger. If our enemies destroyed the world, I would have nowhere to lay my head while dreaming of the Fade.
Ah.
Inquisitor, that is why I joined, not why I stayed.
Well, it's not the worst reason I've heard to go out and enjoy life.
I'm glad to hear it. In truth, I have enjoyed experiencing more of life to find more of the Fade.
How so?
You train your will to control magic and withstand possession. Your indomitable focus is an enjoyable side benefit. You have chosen a path whose steps you do not dislike because it leads to a destination you enjoy. As have I.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
Alright, let's see what is happening with Sarah. If nothing else, we can of course ask each companion about, or at least several of them, about their thoughts of Dorian and Vivian, since they're the newest people here.
Well, that's mages all over. So many robes, I bet all of Ferelden lost their curtains. I'll just be the other side of Haven, just in case.
Sarah really does not like to be around mages.
These mages are here to aid the Inquisition. Don't worry.
Sure, don't worry. Magic up there, magic down here. What's to worry about? I mean, yay, freedom. Great for them. Over there, away from me.
What do you think about the people who have gathered?
Again with your people. Right, which ones?
What about Dorian?
He's fun. Could lose a bit more to Vinta.
What's your opinion of Vivienne?
She's a bitch, but she knows. She better.
Oh, surprise that she doesn't care for Vivian.
We'll talk later.
Good, right? I'll be here.
Just returning the cups, Flisser. Thank you.
Anything new to say, Varric?
The Mage Rebellion joins the Inquisition. I've got to admit that's a twist I didn't see coming. One thing you saw in the future worries me. I mean, it was all bad. But Red Lyrium and Ferelden, infecting people and growing out of them, that's bad. Finding more of it really punches a hole in my Red Lyrium at the temple was a coincidence theory.
How long does it take for red lyrium to grow? How fast can it spread?
It took years to infect people in Kirkwall, but no one there was actually ingesting the stuff. This Elder One managed to take the worst thing I can think of and make it worse. That's an accomplishment.
I'd like to keep hoping it's a coincidence, if you don't mind. I need to be able to sleep at night.
Honestly, I think I'll give up sleeping for the foreseeable future. I've got people trying to find out where the red stuff came from. I think maybe we should make that a priority. But that's enough doom and gloom. You just won a big victory for the Inquisition. What are you going to do to celebrate?
I was planning to put my feet up, maybe grab a nap. You?
Whatever I do, it'll be as far from Cassandra as I can get. Things should be calm around here for at least the next hour. Take a moment to enjoy it. If the world's about to end, I'm sure the Seeker will let us know. Need something?
No, it doesn't look like anything new here.
Carry on.
Next on our circuit, I believe, is Iron Bull.
So, that Tevinter guy sent you into the future?
Every time I think I understand magic, the rules change.
And you're a mage, so that's saying something. Anyway, I hope our new friends have what it takes to close the breach. Damn thing gives me a headache just looking at it.
Nice work at Redcliffe. I could help the mages learn to work with Inquisition soldiers if you like. Not that the chief has any apostates in the group.
Let's see, any updates on how to use the chargers?
Can you think of any other tasks suitable for the Chargers?
The Templars have holed up in Thorinfal Redoubt. No idea what's happening inside. I could have some of the boys poke around. If nothing else, we get a better look at the land.
Okay.
We'll talk later.
And there it says that the operation readout is available. So, again, nice to be able to use the agents we've gathered to help out the Inquisition.
How's it going?
Nothing new for the Bull.
See you later, Bull.
See ya.
You know, Artsberg, you actually are.
All right, Blackwell, where are you?
Thank you. Kindly.
There was never going to be an easy answer to the mage dilemma. What you did for the mages took courage. You gave them a chance. Everyone deserves one. I have to ask, what was I like in that dark future you saw?
You were furious about the circumstances.
Angry. Good. I'm glad I was angry. It means I never stopped caring.
Nothing right now. Perhaps in a bit.
Okay, I didn't see any other new options there. You noticed at the end of the last mission that messages came up about people approving and disapproving, and some weren't even in the party. And that's pretty common in this game. You don't have to, on the one hand, you don't have to worry about having certain people in your party in order to take decisions and have them gain approval. But it also means, of course, that people who are not there can still disapprove of your actions.
What does that even mean anymore? That we declare our independence and march off to some hold and do nothing?
All right, Cullen, what's up?
The mages are ready to approach the breach. I pray this will be enough to close it.
You weren't happy with how I brought in the mages. Do you have a problem with me as well?
Of course not. I have no intention of endangering your alliance, but I must ensure the safety of those here. That concern extends to the mages. They are putting themselves at risk for the Inquisition, as are you. Any precautions taken are meant to aid you, nothing more. I hope you will accept them as such.
What do you think of the people you work with?
Who do you mean?
Okay, nothing new there.
I should let you get back to work.
Let's see if he has any updates.
Was there something you needed?
Is there anything I should know?
I'm glad to have the charges on our side. Bull's men are professionals, despite evidence to the contrary.
That's all for now.
Another time, then.
Alright, let's find Cassandra. Oh. Talking with a mage here.
And what are we supposed to do, exactly?
What you always do. Complain.
We've already spoken with Commander Cullen. No one listens. We want better quarters. We want the Templars kept at a distance. And some respect for...
This is not the Circle. You mages are our allies, not our wards. Act like it.
How are we supposed to...
Deal with it. It never ends, evidently.
You don't need to tell me that.
I just don't know who told them I'm the one to yell at.
Is it that bad?
The mages are here as equals. They need to get used to what that means. It is your doing, after all. You created this alliance.
Well, I hope it works. What other choice do we have?
Oh. I do sound like I'm blaming you, don't I? I don't disapprove. In fact, you did well. You made a decision when it needed to be made. And here we are. I wish I could say this was my doing.
We wouldn't be here at all if you hadn't stood up against the Chantry.
You're being kind.
You're discounting your role in this.
Let's close the breach. Then we can say how successful I was.
We got some mutual respect going on between those two.
Go on, then.
No, I think we've covered these already.
That's enough for now.
As you wish.
So now we just have Vivienne. She's back at the Chantry. Accidentally missed her when after I talked with Josephine. Then I will be doing one brief mission over at the Storm Coast, and then we'll be getting back on with the main story.
Maker, though the darkness comes upon me, I shall embrace the light.
See,
I
yep,
shall
there's
weather the
Vivienne.
storm. I shall endure.
If Fiona and her malcontents are joining us as allies, we need to be prepared. Abominations are inevitable. Cullen doesn't have enough Templars to handle incidents. Some of the rank and file need to be trained.
Train our people, but keep it a secret. Let the mages think they're not being watched.
I like the way you think, darling. I'll have a word with Cullen. We are reliant on his people, absolutely. There has never been a greater threat to mages than the breach. Until it is closed, no one is safe.
Oh, here's a fair question.
If you're seeing demons everywhere, do you believe you're a risk? Do you believe I am?
We are a risk, darling. Better to know it and use caution. Magic is dangerous, just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
That must be her motto, I guess.
You're right, but Templars are a poor solution.
They are men, and all men are flawed. That some fail does not mean that none should try. The fact remains that there is no cure for an abomination except death. Someone must strike the killing blow. Who shall lower the blade if not a Templar? Tell me something. You said once that you wanted to change things. What future would you build for mages?
Definitely not the circle back. At least not the way that it was. Although I'm not sure Aurora would just say, well, the mages should just go off and do whatever they please either. So maybe something in between.
Mages shouldn't be kept out of the Chantry. Who knows the dangers of magic better than a mage?
A curious idea. Such twists and turns your mind takes. It's something to consider, my dear.
And that seems to be something that Vivian likes the thought of as well.
How may I help you?
What are your thoughts about the others in the Inquisition?
Blackwall is a useful sort of fellow, but he's perhaps too eager to please. He reminds me of a pup begging for attention.
I guess every time we stop by, we can just use that option and get one of her opinions on one of the companions. That's something that I thought was always kind of weird about this game. There's no kind of standard menu for asking those kinds of questions. It seems to differ for each companion.
Foul and corrupt are they.
All right. So let's go to the map and the world map, and we want to go to the Storm Coast. And we want to go, here, and then down there. So we'll start at this camp. And this is about the Wardens. So we'll take Blackwall. And let's see. Let's take Iron Bull. We met him at the Storm Coast. He knows the area. And let's take Varric. This is just a brief fetch quest. It's just composed of 3 parts, but it comes together in forming a codex that I'd like to read. It has some bearing on what we're going to see in the future of the main story. Okay, so let's mark that and set it as active. Should be just around and up on the hill.
Let's look around.
That's usually the sign that you're near the right area. This way. Alright. A Grey Warden's journal. He is not here. We have searched thoroughly and we will now move on. How many days have I wasted here, with whispers lurking at the back of my mind on this mad assignment? I pray we have more luck as we head south. After speaking with the other wardens, I told the fishermen about the darkspawn we sense beneath the earth. They may not burst forth from the ground today or tomorrow, but I fear it will not be long, and we will not be here when they finally surface. The fishermen were grieved at the news, but they decided to make for West Hill, which is safe for now. As for the fisherman who was interested in joining, I convinced him that now was not the time. Others might have told him otherwise, but he is too young to make such a sacrifice simply because he does not wish to throw nets into the water all his life. We shared one last night by the campfire, and he went on his way with a smile, humming the song of Anduril as he left.
The Wardens were here at some point.
They seem to be looking for someone. Oh, go ahead and level up some of our characters while we're here. Just have one each, it seems. Here we go. Now we're done with this tree for Blackwall. He is now a full battle master, so to speak. Getting close to finishing up two-handed weapons for Iron Bull. And close to finishing up Bianca for Barrack. Alright, next one is to our left. Find our way around there. Guess I'll try this way. Storm Coast is one of the areas, there's a couple others as well, that are so mountainous that using your mount to try to make your journey faster often just doesn't work. Almost up. Okay. That should be a way that... Can we? It's getting kind of steep. Let's try this way instead. There we go. Apostate's Landing. And collect a few pieces of resource while I pass by. We're in the right area, aren't we? Where is it? So over here. Landmark here we can claim. Scroll past that, in case you'd like to read.
What's that?
This is another, this Varric is another fetch quest. Again, not something tied to the main story. I'm just not getting any signal here, so we'll just go ahead and move on to the next two, which are down here, close to this camp, so I'll just travel there really quick.
Dispatch for you.
What is it?
Could prove useful, sir.
I've been collecting enough materials that some of the stuff gets automatically fulfilled. Okay, I need to make it over that ridge. I think I can do that over here. It's kind of weird obelisk. Probably some dwarven architecture. There are a lot of dwarven ruins around the Storm Coast. Okay, anything in this area we can find? There we go. Warden Commander's badge.
Good find.
Ah, that was for Blackwall. Again, you know, that's all he says. He says, you know, good job, and you get some approval for it. Where's the other thing? Oh, we have two, actually. One is this way. Ah, another bottle of ale. And lastly, there's a lot of stuff around here. Oh, those papers. Got it. There we go. Still no trace of him, though I feel the darkspawn in the ground below. Could he be lurking close to them, perhaps preparing to die with honor? I doubt it, but it is the only lead we have so far. I confess that this seems a fool's errand at times, given how much is at stake. We saw bandits harassing the fishermen, and we intervened. The fishermen thanked us, though I fear the bandits will return again in greater numbers, and we will not be here to help. Nevertheless, as long as we are here, the fishermen are safe. The dreams continue, as they do every night. They make it hard for us to sleep, but we must persist. Hopefully the others will have found a solution by the time we return. In the meantime, I sing the song of Andril to keep myself I sing the song of Andril to myself to clear my mind as best I can.
Looks like several wardens were traveling together.
Last one looks like it's up here. Oops. Come around this way, maybe. Here we are. What do we got? We searched the area and found no sign. If he was here, it was some time ago. The fishermen in this area are friendly. Unlike some, they remember how the Grey Wardens fought to save Ferelden in the last Blight. Though they had little, they shared some of their catch to give us a better supper than we had tasted in weeks. They even deferred to me once they saw that I commanded the other wardens, and there are a few even in Ferelden who would watch an elf command men without pause. They are friendly folk. After all this land has suffered for the past years, I hope they find some peace.
This belonged to the wardens.
And so it seems this journal belongs to an elven Grey Warden leading a group of wardens in search of some other Grey Warden. And the question is, who is that? So that's what I just wanted to put into the story on camera here, because we'll actually find out who they were talking about later on in the story. When I first found those, I thought it might be Warden Vexus that they were trying to find, but it's actually someone else. I'm going to try this last area up here one more time. Now that we found the other 3 pieces of the journal, maybe now it suddenly will be active. Which unfortunately means we have to climb up the ridge again. But then again, this is once more why I don't tend to show a lot of these types of quests. Because on the one hand, it's a lot of me running around. And with the easier difficulty, sorry about that, Aurora, there's not a ton of enemies, like everywhere, so that you can get distracted by fighting. So most of the time it's just me wandering around, and I'd rather not have too much of that on camera, otherwise I'm pretty sure it's going to get boring. So that's why I only do a few of these. Let's see. Yeah, this should be a pass that we can use. Our next mission will be, in fact, to go right back to the source or the site of the rift and really try to close it so that it's literally just not in the sky anymore, not just quiet, but gone. Alright, one last search of this area. There it is. Just wasn't looking quite in the right place. I grow more convinced that if he was ever here, he is now long gone. Still, it would not do for us to miss him through laziness, and he was one of our most skilled warriors. If anyone could hide himself here, it would be he. One of the fishermen shows promise with a spear and has shoulders like an ox from throwing nets all day. He asked about joining the Grey Wardens. Under other circumstances, I would be honored to take a worthy and willing volunteer. Now, my orders did not say whether I should seek new recruits, even with our circumstances. Or because of them, I suppose. It did not hurt his cause that he was easy to look at, and clearly wished to know more about the Dalish. The Darkspawn are louder than I thought at first. The constant whisper at the back of my mind makes it difficult to sense them as easily as I usually do, but they are near the surface. Perhaps bandits are not the worst these people have to face.
The Wardens must have moved on. They're searching for someone.
On Warden business, maybe? Secret missions or whatever it is they get up to when there's no blight?
Whoever the Wardens are seeking, he's led them away from here.
So we got one more thing to find. Oh, Grey Warden treaties.
I think the Inquisition could benefit from this.
Indeed. All right. Back we go to Haven. Right. And so, this is the end of the recording session for today, but I think the timing worked out pretty good. When we come back, we will attempt to seal the rift, or close the breach, I should say, once and for all with the help of the mages. So until next time, fellow adventurers, take care.